Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Empowered. My name is Luis Carlos Estrada, and today I have a very special guest, Carlos Garcia. Welcome to Empower. How are you doing today?
Great, man. How are you? Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, we met a while ago. I think like a month each ago, like in the real estate summit in Phoenix. And when I saw you and when I saw your wife, I was like, "Hey, you want to be in my podcast?" And finally, we're recording today. So I appreciate your time.
No, man. Thank you for the invite, man. It was great meeting you there. A lot of good information. We learned a lot from a lot of different speakers. It was a good time.
So first of all, like for those who don't know you, can you please introduce yourself, like who you are, like what you're doing right now, and kind of like a little bit about your background?
All right, girl. Just like he said, my name's Carlos Garcia. I've been in the real estate world for almost 15 years, but I recently, maybe about a year and a half ago, retired as a fireman. I used to be a fireman here in the city of Miami. I have a crazy history background. I went to the military. I used to be a drug addict. Uh, my wife worked in Spanish television for almost 26 years. Due to real estate, I was able to retire myself, retire my wife. She no longer works on television. We just focus on our coaching programs, our businesses. We have about seven figure businesses. Uh, and we just continue to create passive income in different ways. But the most important thing that we like to do is we like to share experiences. We like to, impact the world. My wife and I are both leaders in our church here in Miami. We travel the world, you know, preaching. That's our biggest thing that we do, and just impacting the world. That's our biggest, like life. People impacted us at one point in our lives, so now it's time for us to give back, and I think we're just getting started.
Yeah, and Carlos, how did you start in the business world? Because like I remember when I was in your conference when you were talking in the real estate summit, you were saying that you were a drug addict, that you had to overcome a lot of difficult things in your life. But I want to ask you, like, how do you start in the business world, and how did you overcome all the challenges that you were facing where you were younger?
Man, that's a good question, because when I started to think about it, me and my wife were talking about this not too long ago. And when I was 15, I was introduced to the business of club promoting. That's where obviously the drug started and all that stuff. And then as I got a little older, I ended up creating my own company at like 17 years old with a partners. Then I got recruited like by the biggest clubs here in Miami, and we would put 5, 7, 10,000 people, just me and a guy, and then we created our own. And I was at one point we were in charge of I was 18 and in charge of like 100 people working for us. And then like I said, we had created my own, and so I guess that's where I think the seed got planted. But obviously then bad decisions with drugs and selling drugs and took me away from the business. And now that I have such a close relationship with God, it was to me, like, I remember I was either going to end up in jail or dead. So I remember I was really messed up on drugs, and I remember it was like 9, 10 in the morning or something. We hadn't slept for like 2 days, and me and my buddy, something, we need to get out of here. Let's go to the military. And long story short, he didn't end up going. I ended up going, and that's what got me. I fell back in. Afterwards, I still did. Obviously, not as I was back then, but I still, after I got out of the military, just because of the fire department, and I still ended up doing some drugs, and but I've been clean for the last you see maybe 4 or 5 years. Um, and it's been great, man. But the biggest battle, and this is what I was actually having a live about this yesterday. This is not easy. Being an entrepreneur is not easy, because it's you have to come out of you can't be comfortable. Like, my wife and I, you've ever heard, the more money you make, the bigger your problems.
Yeah.
And it's 100% true, obviously, because like I'll give you an example. I don't want to say we lost, we invested, it just we didn't get what we were wanted, and it was about $350,000. That maybe 10 years ago we would have never lost that money, or it would have been. But you have to, if you're willing to play in this field, you got to play. And it's risky. It's not easy. But what pushed me, man, was I saw I saw that my wife's television career, it was eventually going to come to an end. So what could I do? And at that time, I used to flip. I had flipped a couple of houses, just as a hobby, and I made really good money. I was like, man, if I imagine if I could do this. And then I just started getting education. I just started educating myself, and that's why knowledge is so important. That's why we have our coaching program, and we just like our specialty is short-term rentals. But man, like I have students of mine flipping houses. I have students of mine. I'm teaching them how to do multifamilies, because it's not just about being an Airbnb, let's say a short-term renter, real estate investor. We want you to be a full-blown real estate investor, where if there's a good opportunity, you can see it. And man, I had to do something. I had to push, because I knew my wife made really, really good money. I made good money, but nothing compared to what she made as a fireman. And man, I had to replace that income, because I knew it was going to stop. And as the man of the house, as a fireman, I wasn't going to be able to do it. So man, we just started creating. We created an e-commerce that started going pretty good, and then we flipped the house, and then we didn't like it. We wanted to do passive income and money every month, and that's how we ended up here, man. And little by little, we just kept growing and growing and growing. But the key has always been education.
Yeah, Carlos, like all these things that you're saying are like, of course, super important for everyone. But there are like, I mean, everything that you said is very important when you already know the basics, right? But for those people who are just starting, people who don't know anything about like deeper topics, what would you say that are the most basic things related to finances that most people should know when they just want to start?
You know something? Let's go a little further back than that.
Okay.
Let's go a little further back than that, because I don't care how much you want to do, whether you don't know anything or you're not, but because you could have all the information in the world and not have the drive to do it, and not have the will to do it, and not have the passion to do it, and not have that, why do I need to do this? Because if you don't have, like for me, it was my family. Some people are like, oh yeah, it's my family, my number one thing. Bull crap. If you're not moving and doing it because you don't want to go through the difficulty, because it's difficult. So the first thing, I don't care if if you're you don't know anything. That's that. You just get, the number one thing is you gotta have the will to want to do it. You got, because you might be working 50, 60 hours a week. Not an excuse. You're going to have to make time to learn. You're going to have to make time to study. You're going to have to make time. And when you have that determination to be able to create what you want to create, like for us, we work hard. I was talking about it yesterday in my life. Like, this is not easy. We start at 6 a.m, my wife and I, and it's 9, 10 o'clock at night, and we're here. Some people are not willing to do that. That's cool, but you can't expect the results. When I have those results, but not the action. Impossible. So I think before, even if you're just getting started, you got to just get started. You don't have no information. We live in a world where you could find information in 2 seconds right here.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse. I don't know how to do this. Not an excuse. Oh, I don't have time. Not an excuse. Oh, but I just got to this country. I don't care. Not an excuse. Because I have students of mine that don't even have papers, and I've already are flipping houses, 4, 5, 6 houses a month, or with 10, 8 Airbnbs in 3 months, because they wanted to do it. They wanted that drive. There was something behind them that was pushing them to, hey, I got to do this. And I can't fail. Failure can't be an option.
Yeah. How's it like? I mean, how does it look for students? Because like I'm a student right now, and many people that are listening to this podcast like are student as well. Are students as well. How is it for us as students? Like, what are these things that we're supposed to be investing in? Of course, investing in ourselves is super important, but related to other things.
What are you a student of? What are you studying?
I graduated with a marketing degree in December, and I'm starting my MBA in 2 weeks.
In marketing?
It's gonna
In
be
marketing?
focused on management, the MBA.
Okay. So you're investing there on your education, right? So people are like, okay, if you're a student, what are you investing in? At the same time, you're learning your degree. You gotta be. I'll give you a perfect example. My son.
Mm-hmm.
How old are you?
I'm 24.
So is my son.
Okay.
Right. He's finishing. He has about a year left in his doctorates for physical therapy, and he's already investing in in real estate with us.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not everybody has that opportunity. He had a good job during and he has the money, but what students should be doing right now is, because I'll be very honest with you, and you're probably gonna, I don't know if you're gonna like this or not, and whatever student is listening this to, but you're probably gonna finish your MBA, you're gonna make all, you're gonna spend all this money on this college, and when you get out, now what? you know I'm being 100% honest. There's a big chance that not you, somebody out this college, you're paying all this money to college, you get out and you're in debt $150,000, and you're probably making 40 because you have no experience. You could have an MBA in marketing. Hey, you're going to start from the bottom and you got to work your way up, but you still have these college payments. So what have you now? What? Now you're back, you're in corporate America. Is going to take you how many years to start producing actual money? So, and they don't teach you this in college. They don't teach you how to invest. They don't teach you how to make your money grow. They're teaching you how to market. They're teaching you how to be a great marketer, how to make money being a marketer, but they're not teaching you how to duplicate your money. They're not teaching you how to not pay taxes. They're not teaching you how to use debt to grow your lifestyle. Like I don't have a college degree, and bro, I make in a month what a doctor probably makes in a year. So, and I don't have a college degree. Nothing against college degrees, but at the same time, you got to start getting ready for what real life is. Like, nobody ever became a millionaire working for somebody else.
Yeah.
That like it didn't happen. Like, you want to be a marketer, cool. You start getting experience. Now you create your marketing agency and you grow that to be a multi-million-dollar company. But it's not going to be Luis working for A and B company. You're going to make that owner of that company a millionaire, but you're not going to be a millionaire. So that's why I tell students all the time, like my daughter started, she's in University of Florida, and she started off trying to be a doctor. And then she saw, what we were doing and what we make and this and that. She's like, no way. I'm not gonna do this because you make way more money than a doctor and you have all the free time in the world and you do this. So why would I do that and be in debt? And, so if you're a student right now, you're studying for your degree, cool, but you better learn something else. You better learn the real part of being an entrepreneur, because you want to learn how to, you want to create your agency. How do you do it? They might teach you a couple things on business, but they're not going to teach you how you could create an LLC and go get a business loan and use it for your company and, not use your money and structure the business and businesses and process and systems. They're not going to teach you probably all that. That's probably going to be on you, and shame on you if you don't go out there and get it now.
Yeah, and I'm asking you this question because, like, as you were saying, it's super important, like, to start learning the other side of the world, right? Like, not a college world, but most importantly, like the real life world. And I'm asking you this question because, like, you're 100% right. Like, we don't get taught this at school, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast like since 4 years ago, because it's like an excuse for me to learn from people who already did it. Like, that's why we're having this conversation, because, like, not only people who are listening to this are learning, but I'm learning myself just like having this conversation with you, right? And related regarding like college, I have like two or three professors that I'm always like looking to when it comes to investment questions, because like in my classes, like when I graduated, I was like, I don't feel prepared. I don't feel ready. So that's like, okay, I'm gonna go into my master's degree, and while I'm doing my master's, I'm gonna take as much advantage as possible to start learning like these other things that are going to be like more fruitful in the future.
Yeah, because like and man, again, this is gonna sound, it sounds like I'm attacking the school system. I'm not, you know. But everything has a beginning, right? So when the school system started, that's why they don't teach. Like, think about this. When you're in I don't know if you went, did you go to high school in the United States?
No, I'm an international student actually, so I just
Okay.
moved here after I graduated high school.
Okay. So I don't know how it is in Mexico, or you know, where what they teach you in high school. Here in high school, they're teaching you about dinosaurs, they're teaching you about chemistry, they're teaching you about history of the world. What the heck is that going to do for you in the future? Like, they're not teaching, not everybody's going to be a scientist. Very small people are going to be doing chemistry for their in their thing. Very small people are going to be historians or archaeologists. So why do I need to learn about dinosaurs and fossils? Why don't you replace that with teaching me how to balance a checkbook? Why don't you exchange that with teaching me how to, you know, get better credit, how to create my credit? Why? Because there's the money is made from you paying this loan, whoever is paying. I'm not saying you specifically. So if I'm, think about this, it's easier. You can go right now, and I don't know how you're paying for your school, but if you got a loan, they'll give you $200,000 for your school, no question asked. But they won't give you $10,000 to start a business.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because now, if I give you $200,000 as a federal loan, I got you, bro. It's not gonna be $200,000 that you're gonna pay me. You're gonna pay me 500, 600, 700 by the time you finish. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
give it to you, and you're not, there's a big chance you're not gonna make $400,000 or $500,000 starting off. So you're gonna be paying the interest. So why am I gonna teach you how to not do that? Let me continue to, and at the end of the day, you know, it's a business, and we gotta take our own steps and prepare for it. Like, how come they don't teach you? You know, they teach you on retirement. Why are they
Yeah.
not teaching us on getting ready for, you know, what's a 401k? What are the benefits? What are the bad stuff about it? You know, the stock market, what's good, what's bad, how to invest in real estate, how to create. Why don't they teach us that?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to be learning. Because then, like me, you know, like I remember when I left the fire department, everybody was telling me that I was crazy. And everybody was telling me that, why am I taking out all my money from my pension? And I was like, because in 11 years, you guys are going to give me $3,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And now I could take that money and make 15,000 a month in 6 months. So why would I,
Yeah, right.
why would I wait? You know, why would I do that? And, but bro, that's why, like, it's really, really important, man, that you guys take control of your future. Not, don't leave it in the hands of, you know, just what you're learning in college, you know, but you got to get out there and learn on, credits, and, you know, what are my options? You know, you're 24. What can I do? What programs are out there for being an international student? You know, what are advantages? You know, there's so many things out there that nobody's teaching us or telling us, because they don't really want you to know.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because like the more we know, like it's gonna be worse for them at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Like, don't you think that they could cure, you know, if you could go see the Titanic at 15,000 feet under the water, don't you think they could find a cure for the flu?
Yeah.
But there's no money in a cure. There's money in every month, every year, you know, and it's
Uh-huh.
a business, you know. So if that's the rules, all right, bro, these are the rules I got to play by. And you got to play by their rules, man. And if that's the rules, all right. So I got to go out and learn and get ready for, you know, my future. You're 24, man, and the people that are probably hearing this podcast are mostly your student, are mostly people from your college.
Are mostly students, I would say, people around that 24, 25 years old.
Yeah, man. So this is a perfect time. This is a perfect time to start investing. Start, you know, little by little. You know, you don't have to have, you know, $50. There's this thing called compound interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you invest $100 and then it gets a 10% return in a year. It's not a lot, but it's 110 now.
Mhm.
So then 110 the following year gets 10%. Now it's more money that increases. And it's just playing over and over and over and over. There's this thing. Oh man, I forgot. I forgot if it was a penny or a dollar. I don't remember. It's like a thing. Like so, I'm gonna look it up and I'm gonna send it to you. On Compound District, and it was like okay. So let's play a golf game, and it's 18 holes, and every hole we just increase it. So it's like $1. Then the next one it'll be $2, and the next one will be $4. I think by the time you got to like the 18th hole, it was like at 40 something or 100 something thousand, like something crazy like that.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
remember
that I
the
know what you're
exact,
talking about.
and that's what compound interest is, but nobody's teaching you that.
Hmm.
Tony Robbins, there's a book that I think all you guys should read that are listening to. It's
Hmm.
called I have it here. Money Master the Game. Yeah, Money Mastery of the Game. Hold on, let me see it. It's up here. It's called Tony Robbins, Money Master of the Game. Yeah,
Okay.
Money Master of the Game. It's a really, really, really. It's a big book, but it teaches you about all these principles on investing, and man, you just follow that, you'll be good.
I'll buy that book then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a real good book.
Carlos, moving into another conversation topic, like to start like going to the end of this episode. One question that I have for you, like how do you work in your personal brand?
So, brand is everything. So, people, like, I'll give you an example. Look at Apple, right? You could recognize that logo anywhere.
Yeah.
If I put that logo on a pair of shoes, you'll be like, those are Apple shoes. So like for my wife and I, because of my wife, our followers are big. We have a lot of followers, my wife's fame. Our brand is very important because that's what we're recognized by. So everything we do, we always try to brand. Why? Because you want people associated. You want people getting used to seeing that. Like me, like I don't know if you can see it here. Like you see it, like
Yeah.
this. Like I try not to wear anything. Like these are shirts that I used to golf, but there's my brand. So I'm golfing, and people are like, "Hey, man, what's CNR Capital Group?" That person might be somebody who wants to invest their money in real estate,
Yeah.
and then I have the matching hat while I'm golfing. So now people are starting to associate it. Every time I do lives or anything on it, people are like, you can't see it right here, but that's my personal logo, which is the Carlos Garcia logo.
Yeah.
So you got to get people used to seeing you over and over and over and over and over because, like, I don't know if you know Grant Cardone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Grant Cardone, his brand is 10x.
Uh-huh.
Right? So anytime you see 10x anywhere, you're gonna know. Like yesterday, the other day, my wife and I were driving, and I looked to the right, and I was like, "Oh man!" And it said 10x Properties, a 10x Algo. Like I forgot what it said, the name. A Grant Cardone Cardone Enterprise property. I could see it said in the bottom. But you saw the 10x, and it was the 10x that he has on everything he does. So that's why it's so important. That's why he's always 10x, 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 because he to me is the best marketer, and especially you that are getting into marketing, bro. Really, bro. People might like him. I know people real close to me that have been close to him, and they have different opinions. Doesn't matter. The guy's a genius when it comes to marketing. So like my team, they're like, "Oh, Carlos, we shouldn't post so much." I'm like, the more people see it, the more people are going to recognize it. And when somebody thinks about real estate, they're probably going to think about Grant Cardone.
Oh yeah.
You know, because at one point you saw it. At one point you got an email. At one point you saw his videos. At one point you saw his 100 posts.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important, man. And I'll be honest, I think we could do. My wife and I should be doing a lot better with our brand. We brand it very well, but we could always do more. We could always there's always more and more and more steps to go. But yeah, it's very important to brand, you know, because people need to know what that logo is associated with. And like people know this, like the CNR, right? They know it's Carlos and Rochelle, and they know our values. They know what we stand for. They know, you know, we're honest. They know, you know, we follow God, you know, so that brings a certain type of person that says, hey, like, I just want to invest money with you because I trust you, I this, that, and that's what you want your brand to do, to represent who you are.
Yeah, I was reading like the Level Up book from Alvaro Nunez. Have you heard about him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was in the real estate summit as well. And he was saying like people might invest with you because they know you, because they know your values, because they trust you. That's one of the reasons why people are okay. So if this guy's personal brand is super strong, probably his business is strong as well, right? So I'm gonna trust him and I'm gonna put my money on his company, right? So it's
Yeah.
like the more you take care of yourself, people are gonna eventually take care of the business you're doing with them because like they respect your brand, and as a consequence, they're gonna be respecting your business as well, right?
Yeah, that's what exactly what we want to always do.
And just to start closing the episode, Carlos, one question that I ask my guests most of the time: how do you keep track of your own finances, like personal finances, separated from your business? So there's no like crazy expenses, like you know where income you're receiving and from where. Like, how do you keep track of all of this?
Very good question. Very good question. That's probably the hardest thing to do, especially it's easy when you just have one income.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously the more money you make, the more employees you have, the more expenses you have. Like for each challenge I do, I probably spend just like $25,000 in ads. And that's not even a lot compared to people that spend 150, 60,000 on ads, you know. So it's the best way if you're just starting on anything is QuickBooks. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that you could like you could just take it yourself, you know, and you just start writing off. That's why it's so important of like you're right. If I were you, I don't know if you have it yet. I'd already start my marketing company. Start creating that already. You know, you're having a degree. Don't wait till you have your degree to start it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, start, you know, with one client right now, maybe making you $100 a month. I don't know, but you're starting to build that. You're starting to build that reputation for your business. So you're going to start having income. Like now you're going to start getting approval for credit cards. Like literally, they just sent me a $10,000 credit card for one of my businesses. You know, I'm not going to use that for personal use, but I'll use it for paying for ads, or I'll use it for this. I'll get points, cashback, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But all that stuff needs to be tracked because like we have a CPA and it takes it's a headache, man. I've done it with them and it's rough.
Well, Carlos, first of all, like thank you for your time. I really appreciate like talking to you. And there's two things that I do with my guest before we finish this episode. The first one, I already asked you a lot of questions. Ask me one question about whatever you want. If a previous guest already asked me that question, you gotta choose a different one.
What took you to marketing?
Not knowing anything about it and knowing that it was something super important. And that was a really crazy story because when I was a child, I wanted to be a doctor. And in my first year of high school, when they were teaching me chemistry and biology, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna make it if I cannot even like understand these, like nothing made sense. And one time I was with my aunt and She had just gotten married at that time. So I met her husband, and her husband was a marketer in a big pharmaceutical company. And we were having a long conversation during that breakfast. Like all my family was in that restaurant, like talking about a lot of stuff. And he and I were just like sitting in a different spot, like just talking about marketing. And I was like, I think I'm going to study marketing. And that was the reason why I ended up with a marketing degree.
I think marketing is a very good degree. If I had to pick if I had to pick 2 degrees to go do, one would be finances and marketing, because you can make like a lot of money in either one. Like like we have a marketing, I don't want to say agency, but we create funnels, we create landing pages, we create websites, stuff for people, for companies, influencers, people that want to be coaches and all that stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
there's endless amount of money you can make.
Yeah. Carlos, and my previous guest asked you a question, and he didn't know that I was going to interview you. So just so you know, start thinking about a question that you want to ask to my next guest. And I know who he is. You don't know. All right. So the question that Jorge, his name is Jorge Serratos. He has the #1 podcast of business in Mexico. The name of that podcast is Energéticos. I don't know if you have heard about that one. And the question from him to you is, ¿qué significa 1 más 1 igual a 3? What does it mean 1 + 1 = 3?
1 + 1 = 3.
What does
I
it mean?
think maybe to be successful, if you want to go far, you can't. If you want to go fast, you do it alone. But if you want to go far, you need a team. And 1 + 1, maybe one person, it's not gonna get you there. But if you bring somebody else in, you're definitely gonna get a lot further. A lot of people, a lot of us, especially us Spanish people, and I used to be this way. All of us were. We think that we could do everything better than everybody else, and we have to do everything. And I'll do it. I used to do sales calls. I used to create the funnel. Impossible. So I started bringing in the team and adding people and this and that. Of course, I pay them now. That money back in the day was going to me, but now it leaves me more time to buy more real estate, go analyze deals, go create contracts, and do stuff that nobody else can do. So that's
Yeah,
where I would go with it.
great answer. And I recommend you his podcast. I mean, you speak Spanish so you can understand everything he says. And it's a really, really good podcast. And he brings a lot of like really good guests. So, Carlos, again, thank you so much for being with me today. Before we close this episode, do you want to add something?
No, man. I would just add that anybody that's listening to this, especially if you're a student, just get started. Don't leave your future in the hands of the school system and in the hands of other people. You take control of it. You're learning something, awesome. Be the best at it, but don't let that be the last thing you learn. This is just the beginning. For the rest of your life, you're gonna be learning. If you stop thinking that you're gonna stop learning because you finish college, that will be the end of your career, pretty much right there, before you even get started.
Yeah, you're right. Well, for those people who are still listening to this episode, please don't forget to share this episode in your Instagram stories. You can find me as at Luis Carlos Estrada and the #2. Carlos, how can people find you?
Carlos Garcia Investor, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, any social media under Carlos Garcia Investor.
All right. I'll see you everyone in the next episode. Bye.